You know, I like books like this. Jihad Secrets, the Blake document. It's some of the stuff they come up with. It's just like, are you effing me? And other stuff you're like, it really makes you think, or at least I hope it makes you think. So, hey, I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table, in case you didn't catch on to all that already. And we are looking at this not named issue. Okay, one of the biggest mysteries that have not been solved to satisfaction for most players, most people who really into the lore anyway, is what happened to the Clan Wolverine, the not named clan, after they escaped from the Kerensky space. We know that the majority of the not named clan was decimated, wiped out, and or euthanized by the clans. And the reasons behind that are well documented, and we're not going to get into that here. We know that elements of the clan that did manage to escape. And what we didn't know or don't know and still don't have solid information on is just where happened to them, where did they end up, are they still around? And there's a number of conspiracies or speculations and theories on all this stuff. You know, no, Mama, no, come on, get off the damn keyboard. I know you don't know any better, but you're not going to do that. I don't like personally, I don't like I just don't like them doing that. You know, I don't like them stepping on the damn keyboard because they can trigger something, and then I would be hard pressed to figure out what they did, because I'm not a tech guy, just me. Just is what it is, but sure it gets on my nerves real fast when they do that crap, and I have to be real cautious with her because she is still a feral cat, and I don't want to scare her, and I don't want her biting me or attacking me, because that would be not a good day either. So anyway. So one of the things I've always been fascinated about Clan Wolverine, and there's a lot of players that can take it or leave it or don't care. There's also some folks that strongly believe that, you know, they're a long dead faction and who cares, and they should stay dead. But it's that mystery, that those unanswered questions that make it such an attractive topic when it does come up. And there's so many people with so many different theories on it, and so many others that are solidly believe this is the way it goes. And this is one of those. This is probably the most comprehensive that I've read to date. Now, I've read the novel, and I'm failing to think of the name of the damn novel off the top of my head, but the one that Pardo did on the final days, basically, of Clan Wolverine, and how they got to be where they are, and their escape, or their own version of the Exodus, leads them somewhere. And there's a story that I've yet to read. I've read part of it that implies that they're actually off in the deeper periphery and have established themselves, and they have a different set of names. And then there's a lead where at least a portion of the not named clan potentially ends up in Nova Castile, and set up themselves to be petty warlords that eventually are their descendants are still out there mucking around as the Umiads, or however now it's pronounced. And the third conspiracy, and I've heard this before, about somehow the Wolverines managed to make it back to the inner sphere, and are then basically absorbed by ComStar. And there's some that's pretty much this whole story talks about that. And this is information supposedly acquired through skullduggery and really serious spy work, and it's delivered to Chandler Karita, and to be basically for his own consumption. Because what would you do with this? How would you apply with it? What I don't like, I like it, I do. It's the most complete that we have yet to the date, that kind of gives us a blow by blow of their escape, some of their problems, how they managed to overcome them, and how they ended up back in the inner sphere. And then you know, it says here, our operatives on Richmond managed to penetrate the Combine's investigation team studying the attacks of the so-called Minnesota tribe. The only concrete evidence recovered thus far is the body of one of the Mechwarriors of the tribe. The pilot was using a Lancelot Battletech of exceptionally high quality. Of great interest was the Mechwarrior's uniform, the coolant suit that was enhanced versions of the SLDF prototype, etc., etc. So one of the things is I run into topic conversations on the Not Named Clan on occasion with other people, and or have read and or viewed other people's takes on it, and they'll come up with some crazy stuff about where we're looking at the possibilities of either they've gone out into the grander inner sphere, deep periphery, and will come back as a big boogeyman to hunt the clans down. They absorbed by ComStar, which is what this theory here is, and it's pretty well documented. It makes you believe that this would have been at that time the game writers and designers attempt to put a stamp paid on the Clan Wolverine story so they could get on with their other stuff. And yet there's still a bunch of unanswered questions, and whether or not this is the entirety of the Clan Wolverine. The survivors that did manage to escape, and or if it just ended up this way. Because for all inclinations, because hey, we're going to have to do this thing, because I want you guys to know that it's implied here that the genesis for the word of Blake is from the Clan Wolverine. That somehow the Wolverines managed to, I don't want to say, they morphed into this neo-religious mindset following this crazy master guy who eventually becomes they lead up to the current word of Jake and the word of Blake and the jihad. That is not impossible. I mean, things can and do go down those rabbit holes all the damn time. The question, of course, is what's the reality of that? I mean, I don't know. I don't think I like it. If it's the way it is, if that's their take on it, this is the actual canon for what happens to the Clan Wolverine, it's sad. I think that the suggestions of what this reads and how this plays out, how they metamorph into what basically will become the word of Blake Splinter within ComStar. I struggle with that because it is so anti where they came from and their premise. And so let's keep in mind, yeah, we still call them the clans, but at this point in the history of the clans are still fledglings. It's very new. It's first generation stuff. A lot of the people, the first and second generations that are clanners are descendants of the Inner Sphere and the SLDF, and they still remember all that stuff. It was one of the reasons why when the Not Named Clan thought to escape, maybe we'll go back to the Inner Sphere, because they wanted to come back home to what they knew, and was hoping to find safety and security in the Inner Sphere just to disappear. I would have found that much more plausible, that they managed to just somehow slip back into the Inner Sphere and then disappear. They came to the Inner Sphere, and then they were desperate for supplies, which makes perfectly good sense, which supposedly is how the Minnesota tribe raids on the Karina frontier worlds takes place. And then it implies there that they came, they took, and they left, and then they disappeared. And this continues with that, suggesting that they encountered a ComStar vessel and were eventually managed to be convinced by ComStar to fall under the ComStar wing of protection, and at that point disappear. And they disappear within the ranks, into the ranks of ComStar. That is plausible. I like the idea if they came to the Inner Sphere that just blended in themselves. They would not have been so steeped in clan. They are not the clans that invade the Inner Sphere. I'm just saying, they're not even close. They have much more in common with the Inner Sphere at this point in the clan history than the other way around. So they are not aliens to the Inner Sphere system. They would have easily, for the most part, blended in. Personally, I like the idea of them having traveled to a different part of the deep periphery and establishing a viable faction, and potentially with the intentions of coming back and kicking, kicking the clans' butts in such a way that the idea being is that the clans have corrupted everything that Kerensky wanted. His son Nicholas totally twisted everything into something they shouldn't be, and then maybe the not quite clan's going to come back and try to fix it, and in the process invade and try to go head to head with the clans. I don't know. The idea of Clan Wolf somehow, as the Ill Clan, actually succeeding in recreating an actual Star League, which I'm not sure, that that's a plausible thing, but perhaps it does, and then they're going to need a big boogeyman to keep the game rolling. This would make for yet another invasion of the Inner Sphere by yet another, quote, entity of the clan's concept viable. They have them go through everything that they did to leave the clan cult and return to the Inner Sphere, only to become the kernels for a new cult within ComStar. Oof, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't have to like it, but I don't like the way it reads, and it kind of makes it kind of sad. And I've heard references. I've heard other people read references once in a while on this channel, but I've heard other people references the ComStar connection with Clan Wolverine 2, and it's not until I was able to get this PDF, and I thank you. You know who you are who sent this to me, and I appreciate it. I didn't even know this book existed until I started sounding out. Was the first Clan book PDF that I read, and I did a review on it. It's on my channel somewhere. And then there's like, oh no, there's like 4 more. There's like 3 other books in the series, and somebody else said, no, there's 6. And then Mechanical Frog, he confirmed to me that there's 4 that he knows of. So this would be book 2 in this scenario for the Jihad era. And so there's, like I said, Jihad Hotspots is one of them, I think, and I may or may not have that as a PDF. I have to go look and see if I did. And then I have to figure out what the 4th book is. I think I know the name of it. I'm pretty sure. The reason I know it is I think the topic came up when I was watching one of Mechanical Frog's videos, and he did a review of that book. And that's what made me think, oh, so I need to get that book. I'm going to see if I can find it. And if I can't find it, I got to see if I can get a PDF of it. And if I can get it, if not, I'll see if I can buy a copy of the PDF if that's available. It is what it is. I got a number of PDFs I got printed. I printed 7. I got 7 printed out here in the last 2 weeks. That's why I said I felt bad about using the printer so much at work that I left them $20 and said, here's $20 for printing or for copies, because I printed the excess of 1,000 damn pages at a penny a page. It kind of adds up in a hurry, so I kind of want to not burn my bridge with that particular perk. At least I'll be able to say that, hey, I paid for my stuff. I mean, but I couldn't purchase the stuff. I've seen some of these books on the internet. Look for them, the hardbacks. If you can find it, they want an awful lot of money, and some of it's absurd money. And if you can afford to drop $500, $600 on a book, I need to win the lottery to have that kind of money. If I won the lottery, it would be I've got a lot of lottery dreams like everybody else, and some of it revolves around Battletech too, a little bit. Anyway, that's just all lottery bullshit. So the gist of this is the writings are interesting as hell, and then they start getting crazy, which is typical of the wacko conspiracy line of lore. And when I get to this back here, I really was struggling with trying to reconcile how we got from there to here, including ties in with the 5. Well, it doesn't say it outright. I suspect that that's part of the Werner Blake's genetic manipulation programs came through knowledge that the Not Nine Clan brought with them as the technology levels that they still retained, even despite Operation Klondike and the war prior to that. And it just, right. Yeah. There's still a bit here. I have the last 2 pages I haven't quite read. I started getting a lot more scratching my head part and trying to figure out exactly what the hell is going on in here for this. I think at the end of the day, the best part is to never know a good solid truth as to what happened to Clan Wolverine and the not named clan to have a solid ending. It's another one of those tricky slopes. It's kind of like that red herring in the novel Opportunity. Elements of Treason Opportunity, where it's implying that there are still factions of ComStar around that are trying to reintegrate themselves, trying to revitalize themselves, rise up out of the ashes of what was. Uh, True red herrings are dangerous things, and I've said that before. If a game company is going to introduce anything you introduce into lore is a potential window for exploitation. And not everything that gets introduced into lore is going to be the end all to be all. Just like the way this is presented is material that's acquired through third party or through skullduggery is subject to scrutiny and to believability. So this could be a completely fictional spin on Clan Wolverine's final resting place, or it could be a fantasy fiction of a conspiracy-driven nut who then somehow gets archived, and over time, nobody realizes just that this person who wrote this was total bullshit and a loon. But it leaves that information in the lore for people later to go, what if this is true? The conspiracy route, at that conspiracy rabbit hole. So, wow, right? Wow, man. That's all I can say on that. Wow. Going on, my friends? This is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell anybody else that's in the gaming industry or gaming fandom that says, hey, this is a channel worth checking out, right? Till next time.